All right. Let me welcome you. All right. Let's see here. All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Red Room tonight. And our topic tonight has to do with the next few months. We're going to be, I can hear a voice in the background, and it's my voice because Jack's recording it. um, Tonight, I wanted to prepare us for the next couple of months. And for those of you who are Canadian, like I lived my life the first 18, 23 years, Thanksgiving comes in October. And here I am in Texas. And I wish I had that extra space in between Thanksgiving and Christmas. However, that makes our holiday season very intense and very colorful. And please forgive me if you aren't a family that celebrates Christmas. That's the typical thing, and that's what I was raised with. I treasure and acknowledge the other sacred rituals and traditions we have as well. But tonight I wanted to talk about the holidays in general. For many years, I've presented programs to help people through holiday stressors, whether it's in the corporate world or a parenting class or in a church. And so I've assembled some really beautiful, concise materials for you. And tonight I'm going to share one of them. And this one is specifically looking at the stressors, what they are, and what you can do to be creative in handling them and keep the festive, happy holiday spirit around you and your family. And I love to hear the challenges that you have around the holidays, and we'll see what we can do about helping you out. I also am very interested in hearing the things that you love about the holidays, the traditions that you are very careful to preserve. So I have tonight this handout, Creating Happy Holidays. I also have more materials that I'll share in the next 2 weeks. So we'll have a 3-week special focus on how to make your holidays happy for you and your whole family. I have one called Making the Myths Magical. Another one is just about the greens, the wreaths, the plants, and the symbolic meanings behind all of our natural plants for the holidays. I have one just, interestingly enough, on the Yule log, and then one on the metaphorical meanings of the Christmas story. If you have any special requests, I'd love to hear them, and I'll prepare something to make sure that I enter into that conversation with everyone about that part of our holiday celebrations and holiday season as well. So welcome to the Red Room in the spirit of the festivities of the holiday season. Thank you for tuning in tonight, everyone. Okay, so the very first part of the questions tonight is, do you look forward to the holidays? And, or, do you have that feeling where you can't wait until they're over? And most of us have, of course, the paradox of both of them. And what I'd like to do is help us get graceful, happy, light, and content with how we handle the holidays for ourselves and our families. So first of all, we want to avoid stress before, anxiety during, and depression afterwards. I don't know about you, but I've been there with all three of those things. So the holidays may have challenges, yet we can avoid the stressors and the ghosts of Christmas or holidays past. You can select preparations and festivities and ensure your family feels the spirit and the meaning of the passage of time and the bond to generations. So tonight, we'll talk about three parts of this. First of all, planning for play and personalities, which is both, it takes both our delicious fun and our care and caution and preparation to make sure that personalities don't get in the way. Number two, optimizing for overwhelm, because it's so easy for us to get overwhelmed. And number three, the wonder of the holiday season without worry. So first of all, play and pressure. And sometimes, let me type this for you. There are two kinds of stress, and the holiday season stressors, that is a certain type of stress management that's focused down on this time of the year. So we have distress and eustress. So distress, of course, is the stress that we have that breaks us down, drains us, makes us tired or anxious or discouraged. Eustress, on the other hand, that's the stress that comes when I carry down boxes from the attic and I got a mess all over the house and decorating the tree, and you're exhausted afterwards, but you've just enjoyed so much plugging in the lights, seeing the beauty, and feeling that beginning of the holiday season spirit with the glow and the smiles and the delight in the beauty of the decorations. So we have during the holidays very good examples of both distress and eustress, and I'd love to hear yours. So play and pressure. The holiday season is an emotionally powerful time, and just having passionate feelings takes our energy, that alone. It may be a wonderful time sparked with love, family connection, kindliness, good cheer, beautiful decorations, special presentations, and joyful times. Or it may be a strain, a financial regret, full of sadness from the ghosts of Christmas past, especially if a loved one has passed away during the holiday season, or nostalgia for the losses that we had during the holidays, the isolation and disappointment sometimes when we're away from our families or we don't have a family, marked with collapsing afterwards by getting sick or weight gain and more, All of this causing a certain kind of quote-unquote celebration anxiety. So those are those pressures. Dispersed families, blended families, unfinished emotional business, and most of all, and this is the big deal. Now, this sounds like a very kind of intelligent term, and if we look at all the details of it, it's underneath most of the stressors in life as well as in the holidays. So I want you to get this one, and I'm going to even type it to make sure you get this one. Unrealistic, out of touch with reality, expectations, which means we expect things that are not going to happen, that can't happen, or if they do, the cost of making them happen depletes us from the enjoyment of the expectation that we dreamed of. So all of these things can kill the play in the holidays. And all of these responses are natural and real. So we want to get outside of unrealistic expectations. You know, when I'm working in my private practice or in talks and people say something about, you know, I was floored, or I was surprised, or I couldn't believe it. And when I hear us say things like that, I remind us, if you were floored or surprised or you couldn't believe it, that means you weren't in touch with reality. And you were expecting something that probably was not going to happen. So I like it in those ways for me not to be surprised. I'm not surprised when something doesn't work out, or when somebody misbehaves, or when somebody's disappointed. I'm not surprised because I'm realistic about the circumstances. I'm realistic about what I can do and what I can plan. Usually I want to do more than I can manage, and yet, once we get to that place, I relax my expectations, take what there is, and go with it and enjoy it. I wasn't always that way, incidentally. I have learned, and I want you to learn as soon as possible. So we need to plan for play and personalities, or what do we do? Where do we go? Who do we invite? And how do we manage all of that? The modern family is not the way the stories are from the previous generation, the generation before that, and all those traditions. The modern family is different. Even in the last 7 or 8 years, the modern family has changed. And we want to be realistic about that. We want to know what the modern day family is, and we want to love it as it is, accept it as it is. Families now are separated and blended more and more by geographical as well as emotional and situational distance. And that brings new challenges through divorce, single parenting, deaths, feuds, unforgiven difficulties or hurts or disagreements of some sort, unfinished emotional business, or some sort of separation. That's natural to the modern day families. We travel so much, we get transferred. We move on with our schooling, with our jobs, with situations in life. And so it's very different from all those classic stories and songs that we hear that we fondly hold. And yet I would like us to understand that those are the old traditions, and that we want to create the traditions of today that make us feel festive with who we are now and what our life is like now. So we want, first of all, joy to the world. We want to keep a positive attitude, and we want to diffuse tension with humor. So planning for play and personalities. Sense of humor. If you've got it or somebody close to you has it, please use it, inspire it, ask for it, and build it in yourself, or you just let it go with a twinkle in your eye. I think of the most intelligent, healthy people are the ones that have the best sense of humor. And that wasn't always the case with me. I didn't have as much a sparkle in the eye as I do now. Part of that is because my husband, Jack, is one of the most playful, cheerful, unfailingly positive people I've ever met, which means I'm lucky. It's built into my home and my life. So we can manage most stressors with being light and having a sense of humor about it. Not all of them, of course. So we want to keep that positive attitude and remember that your emotional state is your choice. It's not that you were born with it. It's not that you have to stick with it. You can choose to change your attitude or your emotional temperature anytime you decide to. It just takes changing what you think about. And I know sometimes we like to stubbornly hold on to those old attitudes or the grouchiness or the criticism or the disappointment, whatever it is. And to me, the ultimate definition of courage is determined morale, which means determined that nothing is going to disturb your good cheer. Okay, next part. Speak expectations. Speak them, communicate them, talk about them, let people know. Don't just stew with it, hope with it, try to plan it or make it happen yourself. So don't ignore something, plan ahead. Prepare children and prepare your relatives for harmony and to avoid confrontation. So you know the pesky people. The pesky people that maybe drink too much or they just don't stop talking. Maybe they're always grouching about something or other. Maybe there's a child that doesn't have much self-discipline or has ADD. What you want to do if one of those people or some of those people are going to be in a part of your holiday festivities, you want to prepare for them. So, for example, if you know that there's a child that is kind of scattered and all over the place, you want to provide specific environments or games to help that child find something to be involved with rather than just kind of being at loose ends. And thank you for tuning in tonight. This is how we handle the stressors for the holidays. We want that winter chill out, which means notice when your level of stress outweighs your guilt. And that means you want to pull back on your guilt and pull back on your stress about anything that you're worried about or an unrealistic expectation that you have that probably won't come true. So chill with it. Chill out and enjoy what you do have. Close the inn. Prepare visitors if you don't want the stress of having people in your home because it didn't work out the last year or the last few years. Prepare your visitors ahead with a list of hotels, which tells them that's what you need them to do. Share the tasks. Whatever it is that you're preparing, ask people to help out. And you and I know that when you share the tasks, when you welcome people into your home or your kitchen or the festivities, oftentimes that's part of the most fun when you're working together. And you probably need to plan how that's going to happen rather than being last minute about it to make sure that everybody's got their place, the materials, and it all works together kind of like a dance. Ask there to be somebody else to host or to partly host. I don't know if you've ever done what we call a progressive dinner where you have the hors d'oeuvre at someone's house if your family or friends happen to be in the neighborhood. Go to another house for the main meal and then go to another house for your dessert so that you share the tasks and the work. Request childcare arrangements in the future and make sure that that's tended to, that you're not going to have unexpected stressors in that way. Okay, remember the meaning, which means focus on the true meaning for your family. Whatever it is that makes it special for your family, build things around that part. So there you have kind of an introduction to what do we do, where do we go, who do we invite. Think it through in advance and figure out how to make it kind of move and be cared for. Any questions about that? Now, next part is you want to optimize overwhelm, which means you don't want to say, I don't have enough time. Well, we know that we all have exactly the same amount of time. And if you end up saying sometimes in your life, I don't have enough time, that says that you've had, guess what? Unrealistic expectations, where you didn't take care of yourself by deciding what you can realistically do with your time. So the holidays may become less than happy when we have too much shopping, too much money spent, too many special tasks to handle, too much rich food, too many guests, too much alcohol, too little sleep. And did you know that the average weight gain is 7 pounds? So which means we need to pre-plan and take care of ourselves. Often we exceed our budget, and that's a huge stressor that can last quite a while into the year. So we want to express our love generously and to return the quality of gifts we receive, but we can't do that at the cost of our quality of life and our peace of mind. So be careful about the too muchnesses. Success versus excess. So often we associate stress with trying to achieve the ideal holiday spirit. Do you experience exhaustion, hectic schedules, unusual excesses of all kinds? Most of us do. Now this goes right into the true distress, which is it affects your health. The Centers for Disease Control say that the holiday season creates more health problems than any other time of year. It says unrealistic stressors, right? These include heightening of allergies from tree rosin and other greenery in the home, more household fires, and the cumulative effects of overeating and overdrinking, and perhaps because of exhaustion, we are more susceptible to colds and flu. And I don't know if you've ever done this, but I did this year after year. I would have too many expectations, too little resources and help, and I'd be exhausted by the time New Year's Day rolled around, and I would get sick. The week after the holidays, or even 2 weeks after the holidays, I would be sick in bed. Because you know how it is. You keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, and then when you relax, your immune system relaxes and it caves in because you have overstressed yourself. So, success versus excess. We want you not to be excessive in what you do, and we want you to have success in looking back over the holidays with a smile on your face and gratitude. How can you achieve the spirit of celebration and keep your serenity, health, friendships, and patience? Adjust your expectations and your plans. So you need to design your holidays, and that means sometimes it's hard if you have to adjust and not do what's always been done, or not do what you wish you could do, or not do what somebody else wishes could be done. That means you designing it, you creating it, using your own creative energy, and being careful to articulate in certain ways with your plans, with your discussions, with how you're going to structure all of the festivities for the holiday, so that you draw the lines of this is what we're going to do. as I'm talking, any of you have questions or stressors that get to you and you haven't been able to moderate yet for yourselves? I'd love to hear about them. Thank you for tuning in tonight. So I have 6 pieces here to help you be creative, to design your own seasonal solutions for making sure that you use the resources, the time, and the energy that you have without any unrealistic expectations. So the 6 things are: number 1, plan ahead. Use a calendar, wrap your gifts ahead, decorate long ahead, spread out the fun. One of the things that we like to do is we have a Christmas party or a holiday party a couple of weeks before the Christmas holidays begin. That means that people are starting to celebrate a few weeks before, and guess what that means for me? That means I have my house already decorated. So I don't have to worry about doing any of the decorations, and I can relax with enjoying the weeks before the holidays and through the holidays. So I know that giving a party, you get your house all decked out, and that's one of those things. If you plan ahead and do that, that's a great motivator. I also am one of those people, I love gift giving. And I learned a long time ago to be discerning about gift giving, which means you don't want to give gifts that are inappropriately expensive or big or effusive, or, you don't want to buy a piece of art to put on somebody's wall. That's presumptuous, to put something in their space that they didn't choose. So gifts in a small personal sense that says, I love you, I know you, I was thinking about you, and here's something special for you, or something that you've made or personalized. I have a dear girlfriend who loves and has cats, and so I'll buy just a little cat ornament for her, and I'll put on the bottom the name of the cat and the year. And that's the message of love. It's a small thing, and I can do that. I love to do that after the season is over, when there are sales, and just put them aside. I've got this nice little place where I put and gather gifts over the year, so that I have very little shopping to do in the end, and simplify the gift wrapping, which can be done far in advance as well, because after all, if you have your house already decorated and your your gifts wrapped in advance, you can put those gifts in your home or under your tree, and their decoration already set, so that it's not going to be a pressure on you. Can you relate to this? Is this helpful? Do you have stressors that you haven't figured out how to manage, or have you done something new that's worked? I'm curious. So chime in, everyone, if you would like to. Number 2, share the projects, which means delegate, share the tasks. Ask for potluck dishes. Taking it all on like great grandma used to do is not really going to be what works for many homes today. So getting potluck or sharing the dishes, if you've got your menu planned in advance, it's sharing, and people get to participate then. Wear blinders. That's my way of saying don't decide that you have to be Martha Stewart. You don't have to have your house perfect. So don't look at it as if it's got to look like an interior designer or interior decorator did it. Love the way it is. Love the things that you do have that make it special for you and your family. And don't buy those magazines. And even now, when I need a recipe, instead of buying a magazine, I'll go online and I'll just find that one recipe. Unless I want to enjoy a Christmas magazine or holiday magazine, Thanksgiving magazine, and see if there's something in there that's special that the editors have uncovered for us. Buy ahead, as I said, stockpile your gifts, and now it helps so much to go online and order things so that you don't even have to go out. They can come right to your door. Use catalogs. bake ahead and bake things that you can freeze. I don't know if you had a grandmother like I did, but she always made fruit cake. And some people like it, some people don't like it. But in those days, there was very little refrigeration, and she would make her fruitcake, making sure that it was done by the first week in November, because it needed to be sitting in a little bit of brandy to age it. And then, years later, I invented my own fruitcake recipe that's not quite like that. It's got more like dried fruits and nuts in it, that more people like it. But if you have that tradition, you can make things ahead, and then you're drawing out the holiday season and the holiday spirit by doing those tasks, one here, one there, and letting yourself enjoy easily and stress-free. Play and be happy. Let yourself enjoy the festivities. Remember, all it takes is one happy woman. So I want to share with you something that I love. This is a special book. It's called Mama Gina's School of Womanly Arts, Using the Power of Pleasure to Have Your Way with the World. And this is by Regina Thomasauer. And one of the things that Regina says, and I love and quote her, all it takes for a family to be happy is that there's one happy woman, a genuinely happy woman. It's just the glow and the warmth, the smile. It's like it hugs the entire family, and everybody kind of gets soft and relaxed and enjoys each other. And then she says, all it takes for a neighborhood to be happy is for there to be one happy woman. And so that's one of the goals that I have, is to, as much as I can, and goodness knows we're not all perfect, but to be a happy woman. And sometimes I'm better at it than others. But I know that if I'm a happy woman, everybody around me is going to relax and feel more content. So, I put a little PS on this page. And my PS is, get real. This may take more than 1 year of new fun. So if you're looking at the stressors and the things that are unrealistic expectations, relax with it and mold it, sculpt it the way you want it, so that you let go of the things that are not that important. Like I let go long ago of making sugar cookies. All it is sugar and flour, and we don't need that. It's not healthy. So I'm going to look at, if I'm going to bake, it's going to be this special piece. The rest, I'll just let go. So you decide what's really high quality for you, and then get real, let the rest go, knowing that even no matter what you do this year, next year you'll be able to make more refinements. So think about this in terms of holding the holidays and the traditions. Think about it as the new family, the ways that you have found deep meaning, and letting yourself design your home, your holidays, and your celebrations true to those specific things, the things that are really precious. Okay, that's finished number 2. I haven't had anybody chime in and type me a stressor or a question or a thought about the holidays. I'd love to hear from one of you. So we've looked at planning for play and personalities. We've looked at optimizing overwhelm, and now let's talk about wonder without worry. So, wonder without worry, or how much time, money, and gifts really do you need to use? And here's a quote from Elaine St. James, and she's done so much work around this topic of making our holidays happy and stress-free. She says, often what we think are other people's expectations about the holidays are ones we're conjuring up for ourselves. Gift giving, decorating, cooking, wrapping, and holiday activities of every variety easily become competitive sports. But often the only person we're playing against is ourselves. If you no longer find the contest rewarding, quit for a year and see if anyone cares. So, I mean, you could go that black and white, or you could just pull back to the things that are really, really precious to you. So, I've got 3 parts in this Wonder Without Worry. Number 1, deal with the dreaded relative. Number 2, create your designs for the children. And number 3, get personal. Make it your own. So, deal with the dreaded relative. Most families have a relative that can ruin an entire day or create irritation somewhere, or people are walking on eggshells. And I have great admiration for a family that's come to see me. Grown children with one of their parents came to see me because they end up walking on eggshells and feeling really badly about this parent's resentment and anger towards the ex-spouse. And the children came to see me as a group, the adult children, to chat with me to say, what are our options? What do we do? So we did a session on taking that all apart and looking at how it all worked for each one of them, and then pulling in the parent and finding out that it was much simpler than they feared. And I think that the parent was able to say, that wasn't my intention at all, and I didn't know that this was creating tension in you, or that you were walking on eggshells. So this is an exemplary family where they decided way in advance of the holidays, months before, that they were going to do whatever it took to get back all of the holiday cheer. And of course, part of this has to do with a divorce and a newly blended family and such. So being honest about it, and yet not blaming or mean in any way, and saying, what can we do to remove the anger from our holiday so that we don't have to walk on eggshells. It was very powerful and heartfelt. What they did was not easy, and yet they achieved something that will last them a lifetime. So deal with the dreaded relative. That was one thing that this family decided to do when one of their relatives was having a hard time and didn't realize that it was affecting everyone. Okay, we've got somebody chiming in. Thank you so much. I am always stressed out around Christmas, but I am even more stressed out about my New Year's resolutions because I know I will fail yet again. I know this sounds silly, but it does bother me every year. Doesn't sound silly at all. What a fabulous question you've asked. Thank you so much. And then she says, I like what you said about sugar cookies. Yeah, you're most welcome. Do you know what it is that I do cook? It's simple, but it really means the holidays in my house. And one of the things that I think marks the holidays for me is my house smells like the holidays. So that means what? Cinnamon, right? For me, it's 2 things. It's cinnamon and evergreen. So I stockpile after Christmas. I buy the highest quality evergreen scented candles I can, and then I put them away for the next Christmas. You can bet on it, my house is going to smell like evergreen because, of course, we don't use live trees. And cinnamon. And what makes the best cinnamon smell in your entire lifespan, and this spans generations, it's always apple pie. So if I'm going to bake something, the something I'm going to bake is a real apple pie, not out of a can, but made with me peeling and cutting up apples, kind of like a woman would knit, where there's conversation, and I'm just sitting there with my 3 bowls and all my apples, and I make darn sure I have so many apples that that pie is piled high. It's not one of those skrinky ones. If I'm going to make it, it's going to be a really fabulous apple pie. And I cut the sugar down 1/3 because nobody needs that sugar, and most of the sugar is in the apples anyway. And I add a little bit of lemon juice. So if I'm going to cook, it's going to be an apple pie. Other than that, I may not bake anything other than, the real food, so to speak. So that's what I do instead of sugar cookies. Now, let's look at this part about being stressed out about your New Year's resolutions. And I'm going to insert this. So we're going to deal with the dreaded relative, then the designs for our children, and then get personal and make it your own. So if you hang in there with me, I'm going to put your question into get personal, make it your own, because that's exactly what that means to me. So thank you so much for a superb question. And you know, and I know, I feel the same thing in certain ways. And I've looked at it, and as a professional, I've figured out some good things. So, first of all, dealing with the dreaded relative. I gave you that example of what that family did. Now, say you've got somebody that drinks too much. Now, this is hard for you to do. And I want to remind you, you can email me and ask me for my handout on cushion statements. Email me at heathercarlisle.com for cushion statements handout, because cushion statements are the way for you to say what you have to say to a relative that gets inappropriate. So for example, you've got Uncle Johnny that always drinks too much, and there are kids around. You like Uncle Johnny. He's jolly. Everybody likes Uncle Johnny. But you're not going to have him drunk again. So what you do is, somewhere in September, October, you make a phone call to Uncle Johnny. And you use cushion statements. You say, and so I'm going to coach you here on how you would talk to Uncle Johnny about this. You say, hi, Uncle Johnny. How are you doing? I've been thinking about you. And I just wanted to make a phone call and connect. And there's something and then you have a little chat, find out how his grandson is doing or whatever. And then you say, I love that you come to our Thanksgiving dinner. It wouldn't be the same without you. And this year I've been thinking ahead, and maybe you can say, and I'm going to make the special gravy that you like with the stuffing. And I'm kind of worried about something, and it's really hard for me to say this, so you're being honest with him. But I needed to just tell you something and maybe ask you for your help. I know that we're going to have children, and it's hard for us when we have little children for adults to be around drinking too much alcohol. So last year, I felt like you drank a little bit too much, and you were a little bit rude to Aunt Gracie, and one of the little kids was crying. So this year, please, when you come, I'd like to ask you to be very careful and not drink so much. Just enough for the holidays. Just have one drink or so. And I'm sorry to have to ask you to do this, but if you come to my home, I know that you want to behave like a gentleman and be considerate of me as a lady and of the little kids. So thanks for listening. It's really hard for me to tell you this. And then he will answer you. So do you see it? That was a hard thing to say, but do you see that I built cushion statements ahead of it, welcoming Uncle Johnny and telling him the good stuff, and then telling him really clearly my complaint. Notice it was a complaint. I wasn't pointing the finger at him, making him bad and wrong, or insulting him in any way. I was complaining about something, and then I asked for the change, very specifically about what I wanted. I even just said one drink. And then I cushioned it with more kind of holiday connections. So I wanted to just walk you through, that's one example of being an adult and thinking ahead and talking directly and respectfully to one of those dreaded relatives. Sometimes you can't do that, and the dreaded relative is somebody that's an alcoholic, and then you have to be pretty upfront. But you can't, you've got to protect your domain, your home, and your loved ones from somebody that gets out of whack. You want to talk to a parent whose child is misbehaving ahead of, you want the complaint, you want the request for change, and you want it cushioned with positive statements. So, let me just share this with you. Many gatherings include friends or relatives who put a damper on the festive feelings. Endless monologues, people that go on and on. Political diatribes, petty arguments. They can be managed, but somebody has to manage them. And you know how, there's somebody in your family that's always got your back. One of the guys, probably one of the strong, good guys, maybe he's quiet, but he kind of just watches over you. Maybe your husband, your dad, your uncle. But if you talk to him in advance, kind of like he's got your back, kind of like he's your bouncer, and ask him to watch out for when Aunt Susie just goes on and on and on, and if you're not there, would he just gently change the topic and get somebody else talking? Because if you've got people that go into diatribes or politics, find somebody who is good at being disconnected and ask them to manage the conversation and keep it moving into something that's positive. They'll be happy to help you, and they'll be happy for the warning, because they'll have several topics in mind where they can put the conversation on, say, what are you doing? I heard you were going on a cruise. Something that's positive. So this is the art of being creative with your holidays. Don't let special occasions be used to settle old conflicts. And that means you talk to people beforehand, and the people who are involved in the conflict, and ask them to behave themselves, not in that term, but with the cushion statements. And then also talk to somebody else who is a peacemaker to say, if you see so-and-so and so-and-so doing that, would you kind of, make peace there for us? Get that help. Alcohol can cause mayhem or clumsiness, as I mentioned about Uncle Johnny. Speak to the usual abusers beforehand. Use humor to deflect hostility or negativity. Make light beforehand and during the festivities. So does this give you some ideas? So that's dealing with the dreaded relative. The second one of 3 is designs for children. So remember to adjust your expectation of children to their abilities. Respect their energy, their schedule, how they deal with excitement. If you're a single parent, simplify, simplify. Take care of yourself. Plan smaller celebrations to include all needs. So with kids, read special holiday stories. Make decorations with them. Create homemade gifts and homemade cards. Make handmade wrapping paper. Give to the needy, and plan a family activity around doing something for someone else. So make designs into your holidays, especially for the kids. And I know most people with children do this. And sometimes if you've got family members or grandparents, or you don't have kids yourself, just think that through. It's not hard to plan it. And I know we have, one of our family members is a teacher, and she has fabulous ideas of what to do with kids of different ages. And so I consult with her and ask her to give me some ideas. She's always got something too cool. So designs for the children, think about it in advance, although I know most of us do that anyway. But just to remind you. And then get personal. Get personal. This is for you. Make it your own. Design only your favorite things and don't overdo so everyone gets a happy holiday. You know that if you have an attitude, nothing is good enough. So get personal, maybe even intimate with whatever your dream is. Some people have always dreamed of, and they love going to the Nutcracker more than anything, yet they deprive themselves of it. If going to the Nutcracker is your special thing, plan the whole season around that special thing. Other people, it's driving around a certain neighborhood looking at Christmas lights. Sometimes it's the Thanksgiving where you go to the store and you fill several bags, and then you make sure that you take them to needy families, or a church, or a grocery store, or a shelter, somewhere where the whole family comes with smiles and goodies to share your own abundance with others. So whatever it is that's yours, take that and that, just that, and make that our tradition. Our family does it this way. So get personal, dears. Get careful gifts, control your spending, draw names, don't be obligated to reciprocate to unexpected gifts, buy in quantity, stockpile, go online. Balance your time with your true friends and your special family and solitude. Don't try to spread yourself thin and take care of everybody in the world. Just focus on the ones that are really close and in your heart. Trade kids to shop. You know, if you need to shop, trade your kids off with somebody else who has, some of your friends who have kids. Cut back. Cut back your stress. How much does it really take to keep the meaning where the meaning is revealed, excuse me, and not lost in certain things? Candy closure. Now this is an idea that I found. Product placement, right? Think about the post-holiday slump. One of the things that I used to do in a past life, since I'm a Canadian, was hosting a Boxing Day brunch. Some people, it's the day after Christmas. Some people are already back at work, and they would come over on their lunchtime, and it was like kind of like a Thanksgiving spread. And so many people were so grateful, because it's like, well, gee whiz, it's over. But then if you have a Boxing Day brunch or festivity, or something after New Year's, like New Year's Day, but even after that, when you take down your decorations or something, plan a special time, a special day, not that you just gotta kind of put everything away and it's a cleanup, but that you get music and a pizza or ice cream or something, so that that's also part of your tradition. You can make anything into a sacred ritual or a family tradition. So, this last page, I'm going to ask you to do by yourself. And at the bottom, it's what do you really love about the holidays, because I'm going to ask you that next week. But right now, I want to treat this question very carefully, and I love it. I'm always stressed out around Christmas, but I'm even more stressed about my New Year's resolutions, because I know I will fail yet again. I know this sounds silly, but it does bother me every year. And you know what that says to me, dear? When somebody worries like that and feels guilty or bad about something that they made a commitment for, it says to me how passionately you care, how deeply you are devoted to doing the best thing, the excellent thing. And when we fail at doing the excellent thing, that just means, and it almost always means, that we don't have the correct tools. We don't have the correct resources to get it accomplished. If you aren't being successful, remember my statement before, dear? This is unrealistic expectations. If you expect, again, that you're going to fail with your New Year's resolutions, that's because you haven't been mentored properly in making and keeping New Year's resolutions. You have an expectation that you're supposed to do it that way. It doesn't work, which means you're not in touch with reality, and you don't have the right tools to make sure that it happens. And you and I know there are many tools available to help us succeed. So that means we want to know you well, to know why it is, which piece of it is that keeps you from meeting those New Year's resolutions. So this is all around what I would call advanced goal setting. Depends on what kinds of goals or New Year's resolutions you're selecting. And then what that goal is and how you set it is going to determine the resources that you're going to need, the tools that you need to implement and succeed. So if you give me a little better clue on what kind of a resolution you set so that I can mentor you specifically in making sure you've got realistic expectations and the proper tools in place to guarantee that this time you succeed. So give me an example if you can, if you're willing to do that. Now, one of the classic ones that I hear all the time, and I've been up against it myself, is my New Year's resolution is I'm going to lose weight. So, losing weight. People have a hard time with that everywhere. And people are very successful with that as well. So, if you're not successful, then you're missing the tools you need to make it a success. And it depends on your personality, depends on what your Achilles heel is. So if you're a fear type, if you're anxious, then probably your eating is going to be anxious, which means we want to make sure we take care of your anxiety because that's going to help you with your eating. Also, if you're too anxious to and you worry about spending money and you don't buy the healthy diet conscious foods that you need in order to succeed at losing weight, then you're sabotaging yourself with your fear about spending money on the right kinds of food. Oh, that's it, exactly, losing weight. Really? Am I psychic? Cool. Okay, dear. So I'm already launched into this. Losing weight requires really, truly, two things. You've got to have the right nutrition and you've got to be moving your body. Now, you and I know that all the things around nutrition, it's a myriad, many things involving nutrition. And that can be your indulgence, can be your bad habits, can be your emotional eating, can be your shopping habits, can be the other people around you, your family, the people at work, just not knowing how to cook healthy, that and other things. Now, you know that, of course, there's a way to do that where you hire somebody to do your cooking for you, and there are programs, and you've probably heard them out there. And I know right off the top of my head comes like the Jenny Craig. There are places where they pre-cook your meals, and some people need that. Some people don't want that. So what I advocate, honestly and truly, if you need help with losing weight, you have to learn to cook right and get proper nutrition. And the best way that I know to do that is Weight Watchers. Bottom line, Weight Watchers. Now, I'll never forget a lecture I heard from a doctor who specialized in weight loss from Medical City in Dallas. And he said, and I quote, "It is impossible to lose weight. Impossible to lose weight without a plan. And your plan needs to make sure you get success." So your plan is going to have to be multiple levels of preparation if you want success this New Year's. So first of all, I would advocate, because it's the fastest way to put into place several things that you need in order to get good nutrition. First of all, you've got to show up at a meeting, and that helps make us accountable. And if you're not willing to show up to the meeting, now look at your resistance, which means you're sabotaging yourself right there. shooting yourself in the foot. You got to show up at a meeting which gives you the structure and the weekly support to keep being persistent, to keep on task. They're going to weigh you. And they give you a nutrition plan, a menu plan, a recipe plan, and there are things in the grocery stores to help you succeed no matter what with your nutrition. So without a plan, it will never happen. And that's just bottom line. So you've got to get a plan in place. And my preference for you, if that's your New Year's resolution this year, you'll need to do your research in advance. So set yourself up for success, dear. So I would start researching right now. I'd research all about Weight Watchers. I'd find out on the websites. It's going to cost you some money, and it's going to be worth it. I would say that's the best Christmas present or holiday gift you can give yourself. Where you sign up online, you sign up with a club near where you are, and prepare yourself. Learn about it. Get the weighing tools if you need that. So that you need to school yourself to be an expert in nutrition for proper nourishment. Have you already done that? I doubt it. If you had, you wouldn't fail. Because sometimes all you need to do is change your eating patterns. Now, there are other things, and one of the things I know, because I'm now in my 60s, there are certain things that happen with your metabolism as you grow older, and I need a special supplement that allows, it's a special amino acid, a protein, that my body just doesn't have that allows me to digest fat. So I need to make sure that I have that extra amino acid in my system so that I can process fats. Sometimes you have a hormonal problem, and if you have one of those, you're going to have to talk to a doctor who really knows what they're doing about helping you get balanced so that you add on not only the nutritional expertise, you're going to have to decide that you're going to be a nutritional expert. Just like when I decided that I didn't want to lose my femininity as I went through menopause and through the last 50 years of my life, I wanted to stay female and looking like a female and feeling like a female and not gain the weight, not, at any rate. I knew then that even though I've never been an athlete, for the second half of my life, if that's for the goal that I had for myself, I would need to be an athlete. And that's what I've done. So the second half of that is you've got to be an expert in nutrition. You need to read labels. You need to know exactly what you're doing. And to me, Weight Watchers is the fastest guaranteed path because they've done all the work for you and they've been succeeding for decades. So that's why I recommend Weight Watchers. They're precious to me. Then the other part is you've got to get your body moving. Everything gets better with activity, with exercise, with movement. And I know Jack and I have several friends who are medical doctors, and Jack is one of those people. We're devoted to being healthy and alive and vital through all of the years of our life. And so Jack is always asking, he said, well, if you could say one thing or a couple of things about health, what do you think is the most important thing? I love that he does that. And do you know what the answer is? Exercise, moving your body, being in motion is more important than food and sleep. Bottom line, moving your body is more important than food or sleep. Of course, it contributes to sleep. It'll improve your sleep, and it'll help you digest your food better, and you'll use more calories. So if you want to succeed, dear, with your New Year's resolution, you're going to have to decide how you want to be an athlete. And that means looking at what suits your personality, what suits your lifestyle, what you know is going to be natural for you, going to fit in for you. Some people love training for a triathlon or for walkathons, things like that, where you're in the group and you've got a goal and there's a cause and that keeps you training all the way up there. Some people like the game. They like handball or tennis or golf, like to be involved in competition and that juiciness that happens when you're in a game. Some people like that they've got a Stairmaster right there in front of their TV set, and while they watch the news, they're moving their body and getting their aerobics. Some people like to go to a gym, and they've got a hang at the gym, and they like pump and steel, and it feels good, and that's the way they do it. Some people need childcare, so they're going to go to aerobics class or a gym where there's childcare provided. My particular way, I am married, so to speak, to water aerobics. I love water aerobics. I can work as hard as I need to work because I know my body really well. I also love yoga. I also love Pilates. Okay, let's see here. I used to play volleyball back in school, and I still see myself as athletic, but I know I'm living the illusion of who I used to be. Does this make sense, or am I just using this as an excuse? No, of course it makes sense. And you're probably still athletic, but are you doing as much as you did? Are you on a volleyball team, or are you in a volleyball league where you play like 2 or 3 times a week? Because if we aren't athletic 2 or 3 times a week, and at my age, over 50, a woman really, now the research shows a woman over 50, she's going to lose her feminine body unless she works out 1 hour 7 days a week. That means, and it's, men are lucky, they don't have to do that. They can just keep doing what they've been doing. But a woman needs to escalate her physical activity for 1 hour every day of the week unless she very carefully cuts back on her food intake. So that means that if you're just playing volleyball once a week or once a month, that's not being an athlete, right? Are you kidding? I haven't played ball in years. There you go. If you're not living it, if you're not doing it, it's not affecting your body. It's not you giving yourself the vitality to do that. So guess what? We've run over our time. And that doesn't bother me at all, but I like to keep my word and my commitments. So I want you to keep your word and your commitment to yourself for this New Year's. By golly, you're going to get a win, dear. You're going to do it. And you're not going to do it with unrealistic expectations. You're not going to expect to lose, 10 pounds in a week. You're going to know how to do it realistically, set yourself up with the proper tools, and check it off the list like an adult does. You're going to eat like an adult. You're going to research like an adult, you're going to behave like an adult, and you're going to exercise like an adult, like a grown-up would do, like a grown-up is accountable, without unrealistic expectations. I want you to set yourself up for a win. Thank you, everyone, so much for tuning in this evening to the Red Room. It's a joy to be here with you and to teach, and I hope that every one of the Red Rooms gives you something that's useful, intelligent, and that makes a difference in your life. So this is Heather Carlisle, thanking you for tuning in tonight, and I'll see you next week in the Red Room. Good night, everybody. You're so welcome, dears.